Good evening, this is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Kairaba Avenue. I am Ashma Uba. Thanks for joining us. Here are the main news headlines. The Minister of Public Service, Administrative Reform, Policy Coordination and Delivery, Babukar Bui, presided over the launching of a file tracking application system at the National Records Service in Banjul. The Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, CDS Kienjai, has praised the Gambia government's consistency in promoting global peace by ratifying international conventions that strengthen peace and security. At an extraordinary summit in Nigeria on Sunday, in the wake of the military coup in Niger, ECOWAS leaders have called for the unconditional reinstatement of President Mohamed Bazoum and threatened to use force. In international news, we look at how former U.S. President George Bush's President's Emergency for AIDS Relief, better known as PEPFAR, is helping address HIV/AIDS disease in the world. In sports news, the Confederation of Africa Football CAF Zone West A held the Ordinary General Assembly for its member associations on Sunday, hosted in the Gambia. Those and other stories coming up. Do stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. Now, the Minister of Public Service, Administrative Reform, Policy Coordination and Delivery, Babukar Bui, presided over the launching on Monday of a file tracking application system at the National Records Service in Banjul. Lolem Kamara reports.
The process of a file tracking application system was initiated by the National Records Service in collaboration with the Education Management Information System, IMIS, and the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. When fully operational, the system will improve efficiency and effectiveness of the existing system and consistency of keeping file records, amongst other things. The Minister of Public Service, Administrative Reform, Policy Coordination and Delivery, Babukar Bui, says the system will minimize and speed up the turnaround of files within the ministries, departments and agencies, which is critical to the realization of government's development objectives.
You will agree with me that delays in acting on files has been an issue of concern in many offices, and proper records management, which supports efficiency and effectiveness in service delivery, has also not been satisfactory in some offices, especially those that deal with a lot of files on a daily basis. And the need to improve the quality of these services to meet the expectations of service recipients. It is deemed necessary to develop a system that would monitor the movement of files at different levels in the decision-making process.
Minister Bui further stated that the data collected will be analyzed to see if some processes can be simplified to enhance timely delivery of services to the public. Bartholomew Marong, Director National Records Service, and Dauda Jaju, Principal Records Officer with the Personal Management Office, both hailed the initiative.
Many times files are sent to a particular ministry, and there is inherent delays in the process. There are mechanisms put in place, but they are just manual. So this is going to automate some of our processes, and it will bring efficiency in the overall process of file movement.
Anyway, I'll first of all thank my Honorable Minister, that's Minister for Public Service, and also my permanent secretaries and all the Deputy Permanent Secretary who are present here, and my able Director of the National Records Service, and also the initiative team from the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for coming with a so noble task that will help the entire civil service to allow everybody to be on your feet, ready to serve the nation.
Alpha Ba, Director of Standards and Quality Assurance at MOPSI, emphasized the importance of such initiatives, saying it demonstrates the cordial relationship between sister institutions. After the launch, a training session for 10 ministries, departments and agencies commenced on how to use the application. New tablets were distributed to data collectors to kickstart the work. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
The Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Sidi Eskay Njai, has praised the Gambia government's consistency in promoting global peace by ratifying international conventions that strengthen peace and security. He was speaking at the opening of a day-long engagement of the National Assembly members on nuclear security, organized by the Parliamentarians for Global Action. Ansumane Sonyasi was there, and this is his report.
This engagement aims to create awareness of the role parliamentarians play in strengthening global peace by enacting laws supported by governments through the ratification of international conventions. With a special focus on nuclear threats and security, the forum creates a platform to review relevant international treaties, including the Convention for the Suppression of Acts of Nuclear Terrorism, Convention for the Physical Protection of Nuclear Material, and the amendment to the Convention for the Physical Protection of Nuclear Material, amongst others. Deputy Speaker Sidi Eskay Njai acknowledged Parliamentarians for Global Action for organizing and providing facilitators for the event, and went on to applaud the Gambia government for showing a strong commitment to the promotion of global peace and security.
The government of the Gambia, under the leadership of His Excellency President Adama Barrow, and in the context of sub-regional, regional and multilateral, has been a consistent player in the international arena on issues of security, insurgency, terrorism, coup d'etat, good governance in the best interest of the continent.
He also highlighted steps taken by the government through the National Assembly to fulfill its international obligations, and called on parliamentarians to review and take stock of what has been achieved in the promotion of national and global peace, and what can be done to strengthen peace globally.
Ratified many security-related international instruments aimed at consolidating peace, security and stability in the world. Notably and most recently, I have been informed that the Gambia deposited the instrument of ratification constituting acceptance of the status of the Statute of the International Atomic Energy Agency on 3rd January 2023. This clearly indicates a strong commitment of the government of the Gambia to nuclear security, as well as potential benefits of peacetime applications of nuclear technology in the field of public health.
Florian Delsart, a program associate with Parliamentarians for Global Action and facilitator of the session, highlighted the significance of this engagement, adding that nuclear power, lauded as zero-carbon energy source, is witnessing a resurgence worldwide, including in several African states. A development, he says, brings increased risk of nuclear terrorism if proper safeguards are not implemented. In the Gambia, one of the salient risks involves unauthorized access to uranium deposits within the national territory or any other radiological materials present in public health and laboratory facilities. Hence, the importance of this engagement with National Assembly members. There were presentations by several other facilitators who joined the session virtually, and among other things, participants shared observations and made recommendations for a national parliamentary plan of action. Ansumane Sonyasi for QTV News.
At an extraordinary summit in Abuja, Nigeria on Sunday, in the wake of the military coup in Niger, the authority of heads of states and government of West Africa have called for unconditional reinstatement of President Mohamed Bazoum and threatened to use force to restore constitutional order if the demands are not met in a week. QTV's Aliou Cisse monitored the summit from Denver, Colorado in the United States, and this is his report.
The extraordinary summit was convened by President Tinubu of Nigeria, who also doubles as chairman of ECOWAS, in response to the latest political developments in the Republic of Niger, where the coup is the presidential guard named General Abdourahmane Tiani as the nation's new leader. At the summit, attended by sub-regional leaders, including President Barrow of the Gambia, leaders discussed the latest developments in Niger that have been marked by an overthrow of the president and his subsequent detention and that of his family and some members of his government by members of the presidential guard. Strongly condemned by the African Union, the United Nations, the European Union, and the United States of America, among others, the summit resolved that President Mohamed Bazoum remains the legitimate elected president of Niger, recognized by ECOWAS, the African Union, and the international community. As such, only President Bazoum or his duly mandated officials will be recognized by ECOWAS. Dr. Omar Aliou Touré, president of the ECOWAS Commission, read out the final communique of the summit, in which the bloc vows to take all measures necessary to restore constitutional order in Niger including by the use of force.
Consider the illegal detention of President Bazoum as a hostage situation and hold the authors of the attempted coup d'etat solely and fully responsible for the safety and security of His Excellency President Mohamed Bazoum, as well as members of his family and government. In the event the authorities' demands are not met within 1 week, take all measures necessary to restore constitutional order in the Republic of Niger. Such measures may include the use of force. To this effect, the chiefs of defense staff of ECOWAS are to meet immediately.
The ECOWAS leaders have agreed to close all land and air borders between ECOWAS countries and Niger, institution of ECOWAS no-fly zone on all commercial flights to and from Niger, and suspension of all commercial and financial transactions between ECOWAS member states and Niger.
Freeze all service transactions, including energy transactions. Freeze assets of the Republic of Niger in ECOWAS central banks. Freeze of assets of the Niger state and the state enterprises and parastatals in commercial banks. Suspension of Niger from all financial assistance and transactions with all financial institutions, particularly EBID and BOAD. Calls WAMU and all other regional bodies to implement this decision.
General Chiani, who has headed the Presidential Guard since 2011, said Wednesday's coup is the military's response to what he calls the degradation of the security situation linked to the jihadist bloodshed. It is the fourth military takeover in the sub-region in 5 years, all in Francophone countries, Guinea, Mali, Burkina Faso, and now Niger. Whether or not the military in Niger will submit to the demands of ECOWAS is a matter of wait and see. Reporting for QTV News from Denver, Colorado, in the United States, I am Aliou Cissé.
That story by Aliou Cissé takes us to a commercial break, but when we return, we have more local, international, as well as sports news stories for you. Don't go away.
Q Money, the biggest mobile money service in the Gambia, has taken mobile banking to the next level. Now, you can link your Q Money wallet with your bank account. Yes, link your Ajib or EcoBank accounts with your Q Money wallet and get instant access to your cash anytime. No need to queue at the bank anymore. Transfer funds from your bank account to your wallet or your wallet to your bank account using Q Money Bank Link is the fastest, most secure, and convenient way to transfer funds between your wallet and bank account. For more information, call our customer care on 133. Q Money, Sunyu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
The future is now with QCell's 5G network. Experience speeds like never before with our new 5G Rocket Fixed Internet plan. Get speeds from 10 Mbps to 100 Mbps. Your 5G-enabled devices. Walk into QCell headquarters to get one of our 5G routers and experience the true feeling of 5G. Only with QCell. QCell brings you the future. Tech, innovation, incredible speed. The future is now. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyabus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV News, and I'm Asma Uba. Now let's take a look at international news. It is 20 years since former U.S. President George W. Bush announced the U.S. President's Emergency for AIDS Relief, better known as PEPFAR, during the State of the Union address in 2003. At that time, in many countries, an AIDS diagnosis was a death sentence, and only 50,000 people across sub-Saharan Africa were receiving life-saving HIV treatment. Aliou Cissé is in the U.S., and he takes a look at how the initiative is helping address a single disease in the world.
20 years on, President Bush's initial vision remains the largest commitment by any nation to fight HIV/AIDS. The program has had remarkable success in achieving its goals. It has saved over 25 million lives and prevented 5.5 million children from being born with HIV infections. It has provided life-saving therapy to over 20 million people, provided about 65 million HIV tests, and has supported about 3 million adults and girls and women across many African countries in a comprehensive program to prevent HIV infections. Dr. John Kengasong, U.S. Global AIDS Coordinator and Special Representative for Health Diplomacy, Bureau of Global Health Security and Diplomacy at the U.S. Department of State, sees PEPFAR as a gift from the American people to the world, especially Africa. Despite the remarkable achievements, he said the HIV epidemic is not over.
Last year alone, as the UNAIDS will tell us, about 1.2 million new infections were recorded. So we've made a lot of progress, but a lot of work still needs to be done.
Dr. Kengasong, who had previously served as Director of Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention, says the U.S. government is committed to working with the world and partner countries to bring HIV/AIDS to an end as a public health threat by 2030. He called for strong country leadership.
Now the challenge we have in front of us is to make sure that we work with partner countries and bring HIV/AIDS to a level where 95% of people that are infected will know their status, 95% of those will be put on treatment, and 95% of those who have virus that is suppressed, what you call viral load suppression. Very, very important.
PEPFAR is also strengthening health systems to the extent that about 3,000 laboratories in the network and about 70,000 healthcare facilities across sub-Saharan Africa have been supported. Also, about 340,000 healthcare workers trained not just to deal with HIV infections, but emerging diseases such as Ebola, cholera, and COVID-19. In the spirit of sustaining the gains and to better improve the healthcare delivery in Africa, Nigerian-born Ugochi Ogu, Associate Professor of Medicines at the University of Tennessee Health Science Center and the Medical Director of the Dix Cross Comprehensive Sickle Cell Center at the Region 1 Health, believes African governments should provide the enabling environment and incentives for more research.
We need to encourage our own. We have, for example, with sickle cell, Nigeria has the highest number of people with sickle cell in the world. So there's a lot of room to really conduct clinical research and come up with medications that will help people in Nigeria and other parts of the world. So we really need to also encourage our own.
The mission of the State University is transforming lives through collaborative and inclusive education, research, scholarship, clinical care, and public service. It has 6 colleges: dentistry, graduate health science, health professions, medicine, nursing, and pharmacy at Eastmed Campus in Memphis. Reporting for QTV News from Denver, Colorado, United States, I am Aliu Sise.
Still on international news, the Maputo Protocol was signed 20 years ago today to progress gender equality across Africa. The protocol is the most ratified instrument in Africa. Jennifer Sonko looks at the history, successes, and challenges of the protocol.
The Maputo Protocol to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights on the Rights of Women in Africa was adopted in Maputo in July 2003. The adaptation of the protocol by the AU was and is still a positive step towards combating discrimination and violence against women, and is significant in efforts to promote and ensure respect for the rights of African women. The protocol requires that African states eliminate all forms of discrimination and violence against women in Africa and to promote equality between men and women since it came into force. 49 out of 55 African Union member states have signed on and 42 countries have ratified it. The protocol has brought about efforts to end child marriage and female genital cutting or mutilation. Such efforts have resulted in 43 African countries now having laws that put the minimum age of marriage at 18 years old or above for both boys and girls. Also, 22 out of 29 African countries practicing FGM are now having laws in place banning the practice nationally. Also, Article 14 of the protocol mandates member countries to ensure the right to health of women, including sexual and reproductive health. This includes the number of children women want to have and the spacing of children, and choose any method of contraception. The protocol has setbacks as 42 countries of the 55 African countries that signed and ratified the protocol, most of them still retain discriminatory laws in their books. Even if these laws exist, there is either slow implementation or no implementation. The Maputo Protocol has contributed in shifting the trajectory on the promotion and protection of women's human rights in Africa. At the first instant, it challenges the old stereotypes about the role of women in society and places women as full, effective and equal partners with men in the development of their communities. It places a moral obligation on African Union members to promote equal opportunities for men and women to play meaningful roles in society. The protocol is indeed a demonstration of the goodwill and total commitment of the African Union member states to invest in the development and empowerment of women who represent the majority of population in most African countries. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Bosonko.
That story by Jenna Bosonko takes us to sport news. The Confederation of Africa Football CAF Zone West A held at the Ordinary General Assembly of its member associations on Sunday, hosted in the Gambia. Our sports reporter Mulu Gajaga attended, and this is his report.
The forum brought together the 9 member associations of the WAFU Zone West A to discuss activity reports, financial statements, and audit reports, amongst others. There was also a debate on the status of the WAFU Secretariat. Lamin Kababajo, who became the chairman of the West African Football Union Zone West A after he was elected unopposed in Arusha, Tanzania, in August 2022, described their General Assembly as a success. He added that he wants to leave a legacy at the end of his tenure.
Yeah, as you could see now, WAFU before and today are quite different. We almost forgot about it. But until about 2 years ago to now, the competitions have increased because our raison d'etre is to organize football, number one. And that will go along capacitizing or building the capacity of people who manage and run football. And I'm sure you're also you're already aware of the series of training programs that were held recently, and then we'll continue.
WAFU Zone West A recently held a range of football competitions: club football for women in Liberia, under 17, under 15, under 20, and schools football. Despite these achievements, there were uncertainties about whether its secretariat is meant to be based in the Gambia or Senegal, where it is currently situated. Delegates at the Congress debated the issue, and according to Chairman Bajo, the matter has now been resolved.
To operationalize it and to have a clear vision to be able to improve the secretariat staff and to allow them to have the environment and the peace of mind to work. That's why we brought this today, so that we can conclude it, and then the General Assembly has renewed what is already in the statute, that the temporary arrangement has been revoked. Now it's left to me as president of the zone and the General Secretary to ensure, the Executive Director to ensure that the office is operationalized. And this cannot go without the support of the Football Federation, of which I'm the head, and the government to give us where it is necessary.
The Vice President of the WAFU Zone West A, Mustafa Raji from Liberia, says despite some level of success registered, there are problems to address within the zone, especially infrastructure and sponsorship.
Today we have infrastructure deficit within the zones. A lot of our members association do not have a certified and qualified stadium, which impedes the growth of football because it's depriving one or other the fans from actually watching the game. Another issue is finance. There is financial situation with us, limitation of those who will sponsor these competitions substantially.
The 9 member associations of the West Africa Football Union Zone West A are the Gambia, Senegal, Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Cape Verde, Mali, and Mauritania. Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News.
Well, that's all we have for you on this news bulletin, but before we go, a recap of our main news headlines. The Minister of Public Service, Administrative Reform, Policy Coordination and Delivery, Babukar Bui, presided over the launching of a file tracking application system at the National Records Service in Banjul. The Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, CDSK Njai, has praised the Gambia government's consistency in promoting global peace by ratifying international conventions that strengthen peace and security. At an extraordinary summit in Nigeria on Sunday, in the wake of the military coup in Niger, ECOWAS leaders have called for unconditional reinstatement of President Mohamed Bazoum and threatened to use force. In international news, we look at how the U.S. former President George Bush, President for AIDS Relief, better known as PEPFAR, is helping address HIV/AIDS disease in the world. In sports news, the Confederation of Africa Football CAF Zone West A held the ordinary General Assembly of its member associations on Sunday, hosted in the Gambia. Well, that's all we have for you on this news bulletin. Join us again at 10 p.m. for another bulletin. Thanks for watching.